we look at Lego swords that can be used for martial arts training.
This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed.
Okay, the title might be misleading on a first view, but I really mean it. There are swords sold and produced by Lego that have a certain potential to be used for your martial art training. And of course, this does not mean that you take a lot of Lego blocks and build a sword out of it, and that could be used in any way. There are several reasons against that. Probably this thing will shatter, and also if you build it massive enough, then it might endanger your training partner. What I'm talking about are merchandise stuff that Lego has put out onto the market for years, but now they've made something special. There are a lot of sub-franchises in Lego, like Ninjago or HEMA or Knights or whatever, that have swords in it. And Lego has put a lot of foam versions of these swords on the market over the years. Most of them were really, really flimsy, and you could basically shake them and they would destroy themselves. Although some had really, really cool designs, they were pretty much unusable for anything. An exception were maybe the shields. There are some shields that are not so different from the PU EVA shields that you get for cosplay, and they can hold up to some beating. They were also interesting because they often included a small lenticular optical effect. I really, really like that, and I appreciate these types of shields. They were definitely better than the swords. That might also be the emphasis that protection is here more important than aggression. But now Lego has put something new on the market. It's a new sword from Lego Ninjago, and it's built differently. It's not made up of several foam layers that have or that lack basically a proper sealing, which means these foam swords often would tear on some of the edges very simply, and these often also would lack a core. These things here have a core, and I'm not sure what it is. I didn't dare to open one because I still want to use these ones. And the surface is not foam, it's a kind of a textile, of a hardware cloth, and that makes it rather sturdy. The shape of the weapon is also interesting because it basically looks like a Chinese butterfly knife without the hook on the other side. With this you have a kind of a hand protection and a short blade. This is not so far off from a lot of real existing weapons. I'm not only talking here Chinese weapons, also in Filipino martial arts we have some machete-like weapons that go in this direction, although the hand protection in this case is a bit elaborate here, but it's usable, so that is clearly an option. The question is now, how well does this weapon hold up? And we simply tried it. We beat on it with swords and with axes and with pole arms, and let's see how they perform. Under pressure, these weapons deform a bit, but if we look at, for example, the behavior of some of the EVA weapons, they will also deform to a bit. There are short daggers in EVA form that do not bend under pressure, but these ones are really dangerous because you can penetrate stuff with them. And so for training reasons, I think it's good if these weapons have a certain give to it. If we perform our defenses properly, so using the strong part of the blade, meaning closer to the handle, this type of Lego sword can withstand most blows, even more so if I use two of them in the classical crossblock situation. Video on crossblock mechanics is linked in the description box. So in principle, these things can withstand such attacks, which is already pretty impressive. And against the pole arm, we can recognize that I immediately fall into the pattern of using the two Chinese butterfly knives, taking the energy in, controlling the spear, moving in and attacking. So in fact, this behavior of the weapons indicate that they are really really useful design. The overall shape really makes sense. And also, if we take just one of these instead of two and use them against each other, they don't move bad. They behave properly. You can get a blade feel to them. And if we then go, for example, using FMA, Filipino martial arts, Anis, Eskrima, Kali techniques with them, or also for people interested in European medieval martial arts, if we think of Mesa techniques, this is a useful prop for training that. Especially the length is interesting, because if we look at a lot of foam weapons, and I mean here especially cosplay weapons, because that's what we have been experimenting over the last month quite a bit, these tend to be in a range of length between 80 centimeters and a bit of more of a meter. There are not so many short blade weapons, and especially for the Chinese butterfly sword, so if we're thinking of styles like Wing Chun or the Filipino martial arts, we often use shorter weapons, and also many Mesa for historical European martial arts were shorter than these 80 centimeters. Therefore, these swords offer something, namely a cheap training device. These things cost less than 10 bucks a piece, that you can easily transport everywhere. Nobody will be annoyed if you stand in a park close to a playground and train with these things. You cannot expect that this happens if you're going there with steel or even black polypropylene weapons. So this might be something, for example, if you go on a travel with a plane, you want to have some training equipment for you with you on your holidays. This could fill this exact gap. So I have to say, Lego built something really, really interesting here, and I think the community should appreciate that. The colors are okay, they are not too far off, they can be a bit disturbing. They scrape off a bit after fighting with them against the EVA weapons, although I'm not sure, because you might have already recognized the EVA or PU foam weapons. They seem to draw onto the other weapons, so they leave some of their color there. So maybe it's not worn off, but a new color put on top. Overall, I'm quite a big fan now of these training weapons, because they offer me quite a bit concerning traveling and use, and they're at a length where there was so far a lot of lack on the market. I will use them also for some more future videos about techniques on short blades, and I hope this could also be something for you. Therefore, I hope this video gave you some inspiration, and I hope to see you around next time.